She initiated the divorce and legal documents.
I think she's entitled to nothing during this.
Just as a quick thing, okay. Oh, these trigger me. There's like several layers to how dumb this comment was, okay?
She initiated the divorce and legal documents.
Anybody can initiate a divorce, regardless. Even if one side wants to begin divorce proceedings, the other side could initiate it. Initiating is just, when you're filling out the paperwork, it's who the petitioner is and who the respondent is. It doesn't matter. A divorce is always going to have the same two parties involved, husband and wife. It doesn't matter who the petitioner is. It doesn't matter who initiates it. It doesn't matter, okay? Number one. Number two, just because somebody wants to do the divorce doesn't even necessarily mean it's their fault. I like how people will go to like, oh, well, whoever initiated the divorce is the one who wants the divorce or the one who caused the divorce. Like, that's a really reductive way to look at things, right? Let's say that I have a wife and I start myself all day because I'm bored and I start throwing it all over the apartment because why the not? And then my wife divorces me, right? Is that her initiating divorce because she just wants to leave the marriage and she's abandoning her husband and abandoning the sanctity of marriage? Or is it my fault for smearing shit over it? Like, it's such a weirdly reductive way to view relationships. I don't understand this, like, well, who initiated, blah, blah. Like, relationships take two people. Like, this is such a dumb...
I think she's entitled to nothing during these proceedings. And I think the problem is no-fault divorce. And I think we're not dealing with a traditional at-fault divorce. We're dealing with irreconcilable differences. And I think the real answer should have been that when problems arose, a judge told them both, STFU, you are in a marriage. It is a sacred covenant.
Bro, you're giving me financial benefits and there are financial things relating to this? No, you. A judge isn't going to tell me to stay in a relationship or not. What the Why the do you ever want the state involved in forcing you to date somebody or be together with somebody that you don't want to be with? What, like, how is this a good idea? Like,
you are in a marriage. It is a sacred covenant. You will not do X, Y, and Z. The problem I have with this is marriage has become dating. It's dating with like strings attached in the financial world after the fact. No. Don't get married if you don't want to get married. Okay. If you don't want to get into a position where you have to file for a divorce and hire lawyers for these reasons, then don't get married at all. And so the issue is not so much like in this argument I'm making, it's not to do with Hillary or Stephen.
Well, Spitmeister, thanks for the 5 subs. True. Just don't start a relationship forever if you don't know it's going to last forever. I mean, you know that going into it. I doubt either of the Crowders thought they were going to get divorced.
Specifically, it's about the fact that we live in this world where people get married and then go, you know what? It was a mistake. Let's sever ties. You pay me. Okay, hold on. This whole thing is broken.
Hold on. Do you think that's what Hillary thought? Do they already have 2 kids and then she had twins on the way? Do you think she was just like, nah, I can probably get on Tinder and Chad's. Why would I stay with Steve? Like, do you really think it was easy for her to walk away from that relationship?
The whole thing is broken. The other point, so like Lauren Southern responded to me saying, or she responded in general to many people. So what? Hillary gives up her job for Stephen, but now that they're getting a divorce, she has no money. And I'm like, even if she kept her job, she would never have anywhere near as much money as Steven Crowder has. Like, so I don't appreciate this argument
that doesn't matter. Wait, what?
Anywhere near as much money as Steven Crowder has. She kept her job. She would never have anywhere near as much money as Steven Crowder has.
Yeah, but Steven Crowder wouldn't have been able to build his business if he didn't have somebody willing to watch the children and take care of the house at home.
Like, so I don't appreciate this argument that Crowder, as a wealthy man, pays her $25K a month. If Steven Crowder was worth...
That $25K a month is a fantastic... Like, it's fake. That's fake. Figure is fake. This just came out of nowhere. She got $25,000 basically sent to her from Crowder's business to pay for, like, divorce stuff, which is, it's their money, of course. That's how divorce works. But this idea that she's getting, like, $25,000 a month or some bull, that's just not true. That he completely invented this fact, and he just runs with it. I don't know why.
Nothing and had no job, we wouldn't be having this argument. So it's not an issue of whether she's entitled to as a woman and give up her job. It's an issue of Stephen has money, therefore they think he should pay.
No. It's because they're married, and once you're married, whatever either of you are working on, you're both working on it because you're a team. You're now like financially, legally, whatever, like unioned. Like that's how it works. You're both acquiring whatever it is you're acquiring. Nobody's working alone here. You're only working because your significant other enables you to do so.
So there's an interesting phenomenon here that for some reason has emerged in this particular case where you're seeing a lot of these traditional conservatives actually come out as full-on feminist as soon as it comes to the issue of divorce.
I don't think it's feminist at all. If you want,
But it literally
if you
is.
want to incentivize traditional marriage, like you can't like put one party in a position where they get totally like ripped off in case of a divorce.
You're correct, and the
like,
response is to
This is true. And Tim is about to give the smart response, which I'll agree with. You shouldn't be able to just leave the relationship and get f***ed over if you're the guy and lose all the money. And the solution is husband and wife should just have separate bank accounts, and then the husband just pays the wife for upkeep and all the other work that she would otherwise be doing for free. Super easy. So if you're a guy and you run a business, and if you want your wife to be able to divorce you, but not take any of your assets, then you just pay her for fair work, for cooking meals, watching kids 24/7, being an incubator for babies, cleaning the house. If you want to pay that wage or whatever you think that would be fair, you guys can negotiate what you think that wage should be, then fine, sure.
allowed
the
divorce.
feminist response is to say that all these women need to like store away money in case of a divorce.
no, it isn't.
Like in order to pay for it. Like
The traditional response to how you fix marriage is divorce is not allowed.
okay.
Like, what is this statement? It's like unhinged.
But
There's
are,
rare circumstances where like a guy is threatening to murder his wife and his kids, and infidelity is one of these things. These are people who I don't think those accusations are on the table. They're mostly just angry with each other and yelling at each other, and they're not getting along. That's where a judge comes in and says, you are grown adults. You will behave appropriately. You have children. Those children need functioning parents. You will treat this
You think parents that are fighting all the time like this are functioning? Oh, this is so cringe.
relationship properly, get therapy, and at the very least, if you don't like being around each other, you will be professional. And you chose this covenant. We now as a society, this is why it is absolutely a feminist position to say we should allow for divorce over irreconcilable
but
differences.
like, what are you advocating for? For them to like live in the same house when they don't like each other? Like,
Yes.
That's crazy.
I think that then don't get married. Don't get married. This is what I'm saying. You don't have to get married. Nobody made them do it. They said, let's get married. And then 10 years later, they're like, I'm having fun. I quit.
So in your like theory of
That's it. Like, oh yeah, LOL, I'm having fun, I quit. Like, I just want to walk away because it's LOL, right? It's like it's like a childlike view of relationships and divorce.
Let's get married. And then 10 years later, they're like, I'm having fun. I quit.
So in your like theory of like how this should work, like, so you should be able to theoretically, using an example very like not related to this at all, like, you know, let's say you're a media personality and you move out, buy a townhouse, and then you cut your wife off financially. Like, you should be able to do that. There should be no court redress for that. That's what happened in this case. So no, as long as you don't get divorced though.
No, the judge will say, stop. You are married. STFU. You will both be in this house. You will raise your kids. You will stop fighting. And you will get therapy. If you don't want to get married, don't
Wasn't this guy supposed to be the libertarian guy?
get married.
You just said that you don't trust judges in the way that they handle people with money versus no money, and now you're like the
Totally
judge
separate
needs to
argument.
assess whether or not you should live in the same house.
That's completely irrelevant to the point that I'm making. Okay, so let's talk about if you don't want to get married, you don't get married. Instead, the progressive, feminist, and liberal response has been, let's weaken the institution of marriage. And I'm like, whoa, leave marriage as it is. People just don't have to get married. People need to understand. And part of me, I'm kind of glad we're seeing all this. Because when you see the shocking reality of divorce, many people realize like, uh-oh, there's a problem here. Maybe I shouldn't get married. Maybe you shouldn't. If you get married and you swear an oath till death do us part, I do not believe you should be allowed to get divorced unless except in extreme
Is he like Catholic now? I don't understand how he got so...
circumstances. Like traditionally what it used to be was infidelity, abuse, criminal activity, things like this. With the issue with the Crowders, yes, I very much believe a family court judge should say, the problem here is two people who don't get along. Be adults, grow up, shut your mouths, do not fight in front of the kids.
This is wild, bro.
That's it.
Okay, so let me, because I mean, like that's like an ideal like perception of what should be, but like let's say that meets your parameters for something that you can get divorced over, okay? But you have a traditional
Like abuse and stuff.
Yeah. Well, like not this case, but like let's say a theoretical
beating his
case,
wife.
yeah, something like that. So in that particular case, like let's say one of the people is same situation, it makes all the income, the other person gave up their job 10 years ago. Like, should they be able to run up the costs and like when the other person can't afford an attorney, be frozen out of the estate, even though that estate in Texas law
It's not a singular scenario. In the instance of say abuse, a woman shows up to the police covered in blood with teeth missing, and then they go, okay, we're arresting
Well, a
you.
lot of
Now the guy's
times
not working.
But I'm
women
saying if you eventually
weaponizing.
file for divorce in that kind of situation,
Oh, there's a woman here? Strange. She's been quiet the entire time.
like how should the attorneys be paid for?
In a situation of like a woman is being mercilessly beaten.
Yeah, like an abuse situation that meets your criteria for divorce, right?
I think perhaps then yes, the estate itself would be used to fund the proceedings for both sides, like Texas law says.
If you have one person who can't pay or whatever, or like I'm talking about during proceedings.
The family is a dual income, like they file jointly, they're married or whatever. Then it should be that the divorce lawyers are paid. Now, I think the issue there is you don't really have the same kind of divorce law when you have evidence of clear violations of fault in a divorce. Now, that being said, infidelity is where things do get particularly troubling. And I know a lot of people then say, Tim, the problem here is women will fabricate or men will fabricate. They'll accuse each other of infidelity. And I'm like, yeah, bad people do bad things. How about you don't get married?
Well, I think the
It's not like you know that before you get married, though, if the person's going to do bad things, right?
reason you got so much pushback is because like the practical reality is that a lot of people on the right are pushing for a more traditional like stay-at-home like kind of marriage situation. Now I'm getting married, but my fiance is gonna make pretty good money. Like she's currently working on her career and all that. But like, you know, I would expect if I got her to stay at home, if like we were to get divorced, that I wouldn't be able to drown her in legal costs in like, you know, half your states or whatever.
But what if you were poor?
Well, if first of all, if you're poor,
If you were poor.
yeah, same thing. If I didn't have the money to cover it,
She
and
should have
like
to pay for
we're
it.
married, yeah, from our joint
From the
estate,
Yeah. My problem is no fault divorce. It's not that Crowder has to pay. It's that it's no fault divorce. Like getting divorced for we're fighting a lot.
But I'm saying this is why you're getting pushback. It's like the misstatement of the 25K, which to be fair, that was put out intentionally, I believe, by Louder with Crowder to make it seem like it's greedy Hillary. That was their narrative. And then it's the idea that like, yeah, the traditional housewife gets totally screwed under your scenario
But why is
if
it
there is a
unfair-
divorce.
Why is it unfair?
Yes, true. Oh, no response to that? Good job, AJ. That is true. Marriage is like a protection for the woman, basically, or the non-working spouse, I should say. Marriage is a protection for the spouse that's basically foregoing their entire career and their entire livelihood to invest in a relationship. In the event that that relationship fails, you don't want them to be completely and totally.
No, of course.
But I do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is though? It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to the women that I've been in relationships with, so one relationship I was in was a woman had a career. And so we never saw each other. And she's like, I'm not giving up my career. I'm like, well, I'm certainly not.
Yeah.
And then some other women are like, I want to go adventure and do my thing. And I'm like, I'm all about freedom and liberty, so you do your thing, I guess. And the only option I really have is to be like, no, you must be the wife. And like, that's not me.
Yep, exactly.
So I haven't found.
So you gotta find somebody who wants to, you know, start a family and be maybe a stay-at-home mother. You know,
But
something.
here's the challenge with that. My perspective, personality, what I find attractive are all based on liberal urban sensibilities.
Yep.
And so most of the women in that space are going to be fiercely independent careerists and not necessarily compatible. So, you know, over the past several years, I've been, you know, increasingly successful. I have no problem and no concerns about starting a family whenever I need to. But most of the women that, you know, I have been with are like, can't career.
Yep.
And so there have been some who are like nearly.
I don't understand what this means. Like, is he saying like, I want to find a woman who I find attractive in every single regard because she's like independent, fierce, career driven, but then once she meets me, she wants to give all of that up? Is that
40. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's getting up there a little bit.
that's no offense. I'm
Yeah.
just saying like,
40-year-old women are lovely. Okay.
well, the issue isn't them being 40. It's the difference in my age to their age and where I am in my life. And the same is true with younger women too. So I could certainly find like a younger woman who's like, I just want to, and I'm like, but we're just
And
not.
you know, I mean, there's biology that comes into play too. There, if you're looking to start a family and you know she's already in her 40s, then there could be some trouble and that could be hard and that might not fit your what you want in your life.
Yep.
You know, and that's entirely true. That's biology. And I say this, I'm in my 30s. I'm getting there. So you know, it's understandable and
Yep.
it's okay.
I think we're doomed.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
all right? Bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.